In the northern latitudes each season has its distinctive pleasures, but I'm beginning to reach the opinion that the transitional ones, spring and autumn, are more interesting than their destinations of summer and winter. Winter may provide a certain set of challenges, and a certain set of joys to those who can revel in the extreme cold. Summer may be the easiest of periods for everyone except those who can't handle too much heat and sunlight, but it's the other two shape-shifting players that provide the most strictly rewarding experience. The fall is very palpable in London, with the cold temperatures slowly tightening their grip, with the public gardens, parks and heaths changing the colors of their arboreal drapes. But to really engage with the third seasonal gear of the year, you have to get out of the city and into the countryside. Unfortunately, taking a coach westward on a Friday afternoon, I realized that many other people, all in possession of automobiles, have had the same idea. The bus trip starts in mild afternoon sunlight and is supposed to end in the early evening, 3.5 hours later, in the car park lot of a small shopping center of a very small town in Somerset. By the time the clock reaches the scheduled time of arrival, we have not even covered half our journey. The string of red tail lights trickles ahead into the dark. The reason is a pile-up further up the road, an accident involving 5 cars across both lanes of the motorway, in which at least one vehicle has apparently ended up on its roof. Air ambulances are involved and the traffic trying to get out of London is hopelessly clogged. After a long delay we finally find literally a potly gully off the highway and start to wind our way through small villages and towns. By the time we arrive at the destination car park, it's 2.5 hours after the scheduled time. On the other hand, ahead of schedule seems to be Storm Brian, which was supposed to hit the next day. As I jump from the bus into my friend's waiting car, the wind nearly blows me off my feet, while the rain blasts me with buckshot gusts of freezing water. My friend's home is warm and welcoming, with fulsome drink, hot food and a cozy bed made up in one corner of the living room, with a poster of Modesty Blaze, the presiding deity of the house, looking down on it. But the best new thing is the kitten my pal and her son have just added to their family. I'm not a great, indiscriminate lover of animals, not famous at all for going all coochie-coo over friends' newly acquired domestic pets. But this cat, Alfie, is 8 weeks old, extremely beautiful and bright-eyed, with all the laughter-inducing curiosity and silly foolhardiness that the best of baby kittens can provide. As I smoke through a crack in the back door, blowing plumes into the wind-whipped garden, Alfie tries his very best to escape into the storm. Foiled in his attempt at certain self-destruction, he bounces around the kitchen, making ill-advised leaps from counter to ledge to shelf, sliding down an edge of wood like a hapless keystone cop, his little claws unable to grip the smooth varnish. Whenever I leave the city, a certain tension eases off me, and this time is no different. There's something about the silence when you wake up, there's something about the air that is not knotted with the tensions of millions of people, there is something about time. Becoming, if not quite an exposed imposter, far less of a bully. In the morning, other friends from India who have arrived in the same small town knock on the door. Breakfast is a crisscross of different subcontinental languages leavened with mewings from the feline hand grenade. Soon, we are out into the rain-washed countryside, gawping at the greenery that arches above us. Oaks, birches, elms, pines, plane, ash and apple trees. To understand the Northern European cathedral and church you have to walk in the forests. The light passes the filter of several different kinds of leaves and branches before it makes its way down from above, and it is exactly this light the architects have tried to reproduce in the places of worship. Below, closer to ground level, different kinds of green argue with one another and with the flowers, berries, brambles and rotting nuts on the ground, the whole debate moderated by the browns and blacks of the tree trunks. There are fine lattices of light ochre on dark umber trunks. Every now and then the torso of a tree wears a cloak of leaves from another plant. Branches cut across each other in a frozen brawl of foliage. A twist in the road to the right, just after it an open pathway going off to the left that proclaims there is no natural right of pedestrian passage through this private property. A cottage, Linden Lodge, a bit later another, larger, farmhouse with a slivered view of fields stretching beyond. In the field sloping down off the path a sudden flash of grey and white hares bounding across a clearing between hedges. Then into another panel of oak and ash, the sun nudging through the overcast sky just as you reach a minor road. This is not a landscape untouched by human hands, far from it. Every coppiced willow, the feature of the ha-ha, a sudden drop to change the levels of the ground, to create an invisible and visible from the manor or castle, that is demarcation of the aristos' private gardens from the wider fields under their ownership. The hedges and the orderly rows of plane trees, all give testimony to how much the English have tweaked the natural world around them. Unlike the French who tortured garden botany to extreme decorative ends, the aim of the wealthy Britons and the landscape designers who served them was to preserve the appearance of a naturality, of a virgin Mother Nature. The poetry of the flora and fauna that you see alive on the forest paths is something that unfolds in spite of this history of masked intervention. My friend who's playing guide on our walk tells us that an airborne fungus called ash dieback has already reached North Wales, hopscotching all the way from Poland. Forestry experts reckon this deadly fungus will destroy a large number of Britain's ash trees, just as the Dutch elm disease took such a large percentage of these islands' elms in the 1970s. It's a darkening thought on an otherwise lovely, bracing morning walk. We come out on the highway and make our way back into the small town. Soon, we are settled around a large table in an unpretentious pub, our pre-lunch drinks in front of us. It's not cold enough yet for the big fireplace to be lit, but the chopped wood sits ready next to the grate. As I sip my gin and tonic, a kitten of thought leaps from infirm perch to shaky landing. It's no fault of this beautiful landscape that the humans from around here went and subjugated large chunks of the world in the cruelest, most rapacious ways imaginable. It's not the fault of the oak, the ash and the birch trees that other landscapes and other kinds of trees were laid to waste in faraway parts of the world. This landscape was always there, it has endured and will endure, outliving the humans who think they can sculpt it this way or that. You can't choreograph nature and you can't put a step march to the seasons, at least not yet, at least not for a while. In the meantime, spending some time in this countryside is the best way to counter the harmful effects of the empires and industries that were somehow hacked together by the people this amazing land produced.